It is a sunny Sunday morning, and as you can see behind me, we got the trailer hooked up to the truck. This trailer is a little bigger than the one I usually use. This one I actually had to rent, and that's because what we're going to pick up today is a little bit bigger than what I normally haul. So if you remember in the last video, I mentioned that this build that we're doing, it involves two trucks. So I have the first one, obviously. We're going to get the second one today, and it's not a Dodge, I'll tell you that right now. It'll really change what you guys think is going to be happening with this build. So without saying too much, we're just going to hit the road, start driving, and get this thing loaded up. Well, here it is. So this is a 58 Viking 40, so it's a 1.5 ton, I think, is what this would be. It's pretty much all original, untouched for the last like 15 years. Just kind of been sitting here. It does have a little bit of rust, which, I mean, to be expected, it is a 58. But I love the color, love the patina. I think that looks awesome. The crazy part is that like all the chrome and the bezels and the bumper and like everything's in good shape. It's all there, it's straight. Even the trim on this side's all here. There's a dent in that fender just right over there, but not a huge deal. And I mean, all we want out of this is the cab. Like the rest of this truck doesn't really matter to me. The box, that's all. It's all getting either scrapped or sold to somebody else. But the cab is what I really want, and it's actually in pretty good shape. Normal rust at the bottom on the fender there, a little bit on the cab corner. Not a big deal. The worst part is above the windshield here. There's quite a bit of rust up there on the inside and on the outside. I have this panel already bought to replace that, and then I'll probably end up buying the inner skin. So we'll rip the windshield out, we'll change those, and then try to paint it and match the patina if we can. But overall, I think this thing looks awesome. I think it's going to be great for what we want to do. Around. The wind was pretty bad here, so I didn't even bother trying to film out in that wind. But here we have a 59 Chev Viking 40 series. Viking is what they call the heavy duty trucks, so this is a 1.25 ton, like I said. Yeah, overall, I mean, the front half is all I'm really looking for, right? So the body's actually in pretty good shape. The patina's awesome. Little bit of dents here and there, some rust that I touched on earlier, and the interior is pretty much untouched like I showed. Yeah, I mean, strip the old bench seat out and we can try and make this interior a little more modern. Alright, so as you can see, we have two trucks now. So it's pretty obvious we're going to be putting the two together. So this body's got to come off of this Dodge. Then we're going to strip the cab and the front end off of that grain truck, put the cab and front end on here, have a Cummins powered grain truck. Now we won't be getting a box on the back, we'll be building some kind of a flat deck to take up the rest of this frame. I'm not cutting this down at all, I'm leaving the frame as untouched as I can. Build my own cab mounts that can bolt on rather than weld on. I'd like to keep the frame untouched, cut off what we don't need, but I'd rather not weld to it if I can get away with it. So again, we'll flat deck the back. I'll have to figure out some sort of filler neck for the fuel tank, and then probably mount a spare under the flat deck. And then I don't know if I'm going to do wood for the top of the flat deck, or if we're going to do checker plate, what we're going to do there. That's a little ways down the road yet. The main thing is we have to get both of the bodies stripped off of the frame. So we got to get this thing off and pretty much scrapped, because there isn't really a whole lot on this thing that's any good. And then we have to get that other truck, get the cab off, get the front end and the front bumper. And other than that, there isn't really a whole lot that I can save on that thing that'll be used on this. So really it's going to be just pulling off the painted parts and getting rid of the rest of that. So then we'll be left with enough parts to make one truck out of the two. So my understanding is I can make this Cummins a standalone setup from the research that I saw, because Cummins has its own ECU tied to the side of the engine there. The transmission is where I'm not totally 100% sure yet. Being a 48 RE, it is electronically shifted. Now this is an early 48, so it has a kickdown cable going up to the throttle linkage on the side of the engine. So I don't know how that factors in. I still have to look at some wiring and do some more research and figure out what needs to be done there. But really I would like to not use any of the Dodge electronics other than the Cummins and the whatever I need for the transmission. We all know how Dodge wiring is. It's not real great. So I'll figure out some sort of body harness for the 59 and then just use this Powertrain standalone. Now there's still a ton of stuff I need to figure out what I'm going to be doing on that 59, because like it's got the steering column pretty much going through the floor. So that obviously can't be like that. It has the master cylinder under the floor, which I'll be doing a firewall mounted master cylinder. Probably trying to run a Hydro Boost setup. And then the front end, I don't know, like the frame width on that truck is so narrow. It's like 8 inches, 9 inches narrower than this. So cab mounts, it looks like I can figure out. It's the front end that I don't know how this radiator, condenser, intercooler setup is going to fit in that frame / engine bay. I think the engine bay should be about the right size, but I think the engine's longer. Like that truck has a straight 6 in it. This thing has a Cummins straight 6. This engine's obviously much larger than that one, but I think it should fit. So like until we actually have a cab sitting on this frame, we won't know for sure, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway. So yeah, I guess in the next coming videos, you'll see this thing get stripped down to a bare frame, that truck get the cab and front end tore off of it, bring it over here. The trucks are 2 different locations right now. Get that body over here, and once this is stripped down, we can actually set that body on here, hang the front end, kind of line up the front wheels, get them situated in the fender wells, and then we can start figuring out mounts and getting it all permanently mounted. So there you go, that's the game plan, that's the project, that's everything that's going on. So be sure to follow me. Instagram gets the first looks on everything. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook if you really want to. And subscribe to the channel for sure. Comment if you're excited. And yeah, with all that being said, see you guys in the next one.